3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
One game. It's all the Sixers need to break the streak. It's been over 20 years since the 76ers organization got to an Eastern Conference Finals. Not an NBA Finals, an Eastern Conference Finals, and they are this close to getting there. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. We got to talk a lot of NBA playoffs today. Also, we'll keep you updated on the Phillies as they are still losing 1-0. They're staying in it, though. Their pitching is doing everything they can to keep them in, so we will keep you updated. As always, you guys can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. That is the text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Ben Golliver, national NBA writer for the Washington Post, will join us coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. We'll get his perspective on the entire NBA playoffs because we're at the point now where if things play out as we anticipate they will, in theory, it's going to be Sixers and Heat in the next round. And there's a lot of storylines, a lot of juice to go along with that series. And, the West tonight, Lakers, Warriors, you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 9:30. We'll ask Ben about his thoughts on the Lakers-Warriors series because this has been one of the most watched non-NBA Finals series in a long time because it's Steph, because it's LeBron, two of the name brands of the league. So we'll get into all of that. But first, we got to talk about last night's Sixers win. And I cannot get out of my head. I just can't get over mentally something that was said previously. And I wish I could take credit for it. I wasn't the first person to say this. I wasn't the first person to bring this point up. But 8 days ago, Kendrick Perkins said this on NBA Today on ESPN television.
I've been telling people all day long that don't trust the Boston Celtics. They are undisciplined. If you watch them in the Atlanta Hawks series, they have zero discipline on the defensive end. Offensively, they play my turn basketball. There's no sense being ran.
Then, on May 8th, Michael Wilbon said this on PTI on ESPN television. So 6 days apart, Wilbon said this.
The Celtics don't look to me to be as good as they were last year. And I think it's for a reason. I got to give our friend Charles Barkley credit for this, for mentioning it on his show in real time. He says they've turned into just a three-point jump shooting team all the time. You got two wings like that. You need to do more than firing off threes.
So is it possible that the reason why the Sixers are up 3-2 in this series is because maybe we gave the Celtics a little too much credit? Is it? And listen, we're all guilty of this. There's nobody that picked the Sixers to win in 4 or 5 games, okay? So we are all guilty of this. Did all of us look at the Celtics and assume they were at a certain level because of how they played this year? You heard Kendrick Perkins say they lack defensive discipline. They lack maturity. People are asking the question, did Celtics head coach Joe Mazzulla, is he losing the locker room? Think about how crazy of a thought that is. This is the team that was one of the best teams statistically in the NBA this year. And now we're questioning, did their head coach lose them this series potentially. It's a crazy thing to comprehend. But here we are. Because last night, Maxey hit 6 threes. Joel Embiid had an MVP caliber performance. But the Celtics, they had a hollow effort. What they put up on the stat sheet meant absolutely nothing. Yeah, Tatum and Brown got their points. Yeah, Peyton Pritchard got a couple threes up at the end of the game. But ultimately, the Sixers already had game one before Boston even had a chance to put up some of those stats. And how did they do it? How did that game happen? Well, I'll tell you how. People have been looking at James Harden and telling him, in order for this team to win, you have to do X, Y, Z. And the entire way, he has been maneuvering his way to proving to people, I don't need to do what you think I should do. And last night was another example. How many times have I told you guys here on 97.3 ESPN FM and on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle? How many times have I brought up the turnover issue? How many times have I told you, you can't tell me that James Harden has a high basketball IQ if he's going to have 5-6 turnovers in a game? And lo and behold, last night, James Harden has one of the most efficient nights of his Sixers career. And on top of it, he played high caliber defense. It's not a coincidence that when Harden doesn't have turnovers and the Sixers play with an effort on defense, that they're probably going to win every one of those games. Because in many times, because we were so obsessed as a sports fan days, man, I can't believe the Celtics are going to be the 1 or 2 seed. Man, I can't believe we got to face them in the playoffs. Man, this team is one of the best offensive years statistically, according to the analytics, in NBA history. Because we were so obsessed with those things, we overlooked the reality that, guess what? If you make your shots, you don't turn the ball over, and you play quality defense, you're probably going to win every one of those games. But because none of the things I said have to do with anyone else's narrative, it was dismissed. And it's about time we start looking at the Celtics, as Kendrick Perkins said, a team that lacks discipline. As Michael Wilbon says, a team like just to jack up threes. Maybe, just maybe, the Boston Celtics are Fugazi, and the Sixers are the team that holds all the power in their hand. Maybe it really does come down to, if the Sixers just do their job and play at the level that they're capable of, they don't lose. Maybe, just maybe. We'll talk with Ben Golliver from the Washington Post National NBA writer in about 10 minutes from now. For first, let's see what you guys have to say. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Joey D. Ventnor chimes in, says, we got to see the Sixers impose their will and play a complete signature game in the playoffs. Fast breaks, everyone rebounding, effort was key. For me, I was very pleased. That's from Joey D. in Ventnor. Joey D., I don't dismiss anything you're saying because you're 100% right. It was the effort. It was every part of the game. Everyone was doing their job. But I want to point out that it takes buy-in for that to happen. It takes the entire team to be invested in making that happen. It takes the entire team to say, hey, we're going to push the pace. Hey, we're going to grab those rebounds. Hey, we're going to play sound defense and shuffle our feet and get in the passing lanes and not let Boston get a bunch of open shots like they got in game 2. Look at the series. When the Celtics got 23s, remember it was 23s in game 2, and it was deflating. What did I tell you guys? If you want to win this series, you got to stop Boston from taking those threes. Joey D just said effort. Well, defense is effort. Defense is about just having you don't have to be the best athlete in the world. You just got to try. Rebounding and defense, it's all effort. Well, last night, what happened in that game? Boston finished with 12 threes, and 3 of those 12 happened after Boston put in the entire bench. So really they only made 9 threes last night. In the game that went to overtime, they made 17 threes, but it was on 44 shots, only 38%. So when you think about it, simple formula. Don't let Boston score a bunch of threes and you have a chance to win. By the way, game 1 and we're talking about Harden is 45 points. But what isn't brought up is Boston had 10 threes. Sixers had 17 threes. And typically, you're the team with more threes, you're probably going to win that game. It's a little thing called math. Over on the text board at 609-403-0973. George in Summers Point chimes in. It says, hey, Josh, last night's Sixers game was about the most team-dominant playoff game I can remember. I think that the overall play of Embiid sparked the rest of the team to pick up their game. Even Daniel House, when he came off the bench. What do you think about this series now? The Sixers have another game in them like that in this series. That's from George in Summers Point. George, I do think they have another game like that because a lot of that was effort. A lot of that was following the leader, the MVP Embiid. A lot of that, what we saw last night, I personally think is replicable. You can hit the rinse and repeat. I think that for the Sixers, what you saw last night can be replicated. Playing defense. Getting rebounds. Not letting Boston get easy shots. So I do think that they can do it again, George and Summers Point. I do think that what you saw last night. Now, I don't know if you're going to see it exactly the way you saw it last night because in all 3 wins, they've all been very different. Game 1, no Embiid. Harden went nuts. The Sixers were the better shooting team that night. Game 4 in overtime, they had a lead. They gave it up. They fought back to win in overtime. That was more of a ugly, basically like, rolling in the mud with your opponent and winning the match kind of situation. And then last night, it was about defense and rebounding and Maxey and Embiid and Daniel House all getting the job done. Listen, for all I know, tomorrow night might be Jalen McDaniels night, or it might be, what if George Niang goes out there and hits 5 threes tomorrow night? It doesn't have to be a specific person or a exact replica of what we saw in Boston for those 2 wins. Because again, it gets back to maybe we all grossly overestimated Boston's ability and talent and greatness. And you know what? Maybe we didn't give Doc Rivers enough credit because there's a lot of people who are questioning right now Joe Mazzulla, who are saying Joe Mazzulla was outcoached. Has he lost the locker room? Those questions are being asked. Not about the Sixers coach, about the Boston coach. We'll ask Ben Golliver, national NBA writer for the Washington Post, about all of that coming up next here on the Power Hour, known as Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Here's what you missed on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Embiid's better than him, man. I like how he puts the ball on the floor. I like how he plays defense. I like how he moves around. Okay, this dude shouldn't be able to run the floor when he decides to run the floor and get down there. He shouldn't be able to accelerate the way that he does, and he shouldn't be able to jump the way that he does at that side.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Let's see. There's the business plan, vendors and inventory, licenses and applications, logos and signage, hired staff. Wait, what am I forgetting?
The most important piece of the puzzle in business is your marketing. And if you don't tell people about your business, how would they know it exists? And these days, that marketing has to include your online presence. Before anyone walks through the door or fills their cart with your products, they've already checked you out online. So what did they find when they searched for you? Did you show up first? Does your website make a great first impression? Is it up to date? Chances are you don't know the first thing about web design or SEO, and that's okay. Town Square South Jersey has the solution. It's simple, fast, affordable, and it's free to check out. Just go to townsquarelocal.com. You can even see how many local customers in South Jersey are looking for products and services like yours. Let us help you get people through the door so you can concentrate on making them return customers. Just go to townsquarelocal.com.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Scott for Scott's here. You ever want to grow new grass faster? Kind of like when you press the 2 times playback button on your podcast so you can speed through episodes. Except with Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass, you're speeding your way from a thin and damaged lawn to a thicker, stronger one in just weeks. Bit too fast, maybe slow it down. Okay, let's just go back to normal speed.
Get a bag of Scott's Turf Builder Rapid Grass today. It grows grass 2 times faster than seed alone when applied at the new lawn rate, subject to proper care.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Give your small business one tech solution that checks all the boxes. It's all here with the Comcast Business Complete Connectivity Solution. It's cyber threat security for peace of mind. Check. The power of the largest, fastest, reliable network for small business. That's a triple box check right there. And save up to 75% a year on your wireless bill with Comcast Business Mobile. Check and cha-ching. It's everything you need to keep your business connected. From the company powered by the next generation 10G network. The complete connectivity solution. Get started for just $49 a month for 12 months when you add mobile. And ask about an $800 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 5/21/23. Restrictions apply. Requires 2-year agreement, EcoBill, and autopay. New 100 megabits per second internet and security edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares weighted average of top 3 carriers. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced speeds after use of monthly data. Savings vary.
This far into rush hour traffic, most people would have rage accelerated at least once. But not you, Lacey No Hard Accelerations Ever Johnson. Because you are a safe driver. And like most drivers who sign up for Snapshot from Progressive, which customizes your rate for how and how much you drive, you could earn a discount for your good driving. So if your hula dancing dashboard doll thinks you're going to hard accelerate because you're running late, then your hula dancing dashboard doll doesn't know. Lacey No Hard Accelerations Ever Johnson. Sign up for Snapshot today.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Leroy 71's backed up. What's your 20? Over.
Olivia needs more drivers for her trucking company to go the extra mile.
3 more stops to make.
She wants to hitch a team to drive business forward.
Lots of double nickels on the 169. You know what I'm over? This driver shortage.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Matt Flat Nissan is now open on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot. Get out of that old car, truck, or SUV and into a brand new Nissan. Or visit us online at blacknissan.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
What do we take away from the Sixers being up 3-2? Well, game 6 tomorrow night here on 97.3 ESPN. Before we get there, we are joined now by Washington Post national NBA writer Ben Golliver to get the latest on the NBA playoffs here on 97.3 ESPN. Ben, welcome back into the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, but I imagine you're riding high with the Sixers in command of their series.
That's where I want to start with that. So, are the Sixers in command, or is Boston playing at a level that's allowing Philadelphia to take command?
Well, hey, both things can be true. You know, we've talked about a lot of tough Sixers playoff losses over the years, but I thought that Game 5 was the best, win of the Joel Embiid era. I mean, I think after Game 4, where it goes to overtime, you expect those Sixers stars to be tired. They've had a huge burden, kind of gutting down, winning out, and going back to Boston. And instead, the Celtics just laid an egg, and the Sixers did an excellent job of taking advantage. It starts with James Harden early. Embiid ramped up and had his best game of the playoffs in the biggest moment. And they really never let it get close down the stretch. I think, to me, it was a borderline quit job by the Boston Celtics. I mean, I did not see their togetherness at all. They were not able to really get anything going for Sebastian Jackson up all these three-pointers, Dustin falling for them. It was a blueprint win for the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 5. That should give them all the confidence and the momentum going home for Game 6. We've seen a lot of hairy situations from this Philly group in the playoffs, but to me, they are in command and they should take care of business in Game 6.
A lot of people are blaming Joe Mazzulla right now, Ben. A lot of talking heads are saying Mazzulla is losing the locker room. They're not listening to Mazzulla. Mazzulla's not making the right adjustments. He's being out-coached. Is Mazzulla really the problem for the Celtics?
Well, he's one of the big problems. I mean, you go back to their first two losses. Now, they just got worked in Game 5, so put that one aside. But the other two losses came down to late-game blunders, and with coaching responsibility, absolutely. They don't get a shot at the end of overtime in Game 4. Then the clock runs out. He doesn't take the time out to set up a play in that situation. And then they have a huge defensive breakdown where Jaylen Brown's helping off of James Harden from the strong side. That should never happen. Gives up a wide-open three-pointer that wound up being the difference in that game. So that's definitely on coaching. And then back to Game 1, I mean, there was definitely some moments late in that game where he just was not in control. He didn't have his guys ready. He lets Harden get Al Horford on an island, never sends the double team, never doubles off of PJ Tucker, and they wind up taking a really bad Game 1 loss. I mean, honestly, if you're a Celtics fan, you're probably feeling like you should have swept this series, or if you had Ime Udoka or Brad Stevens or somebody else, from past years, this series should have been over in your favor, and yet he gave the Philadelphia 76ers life. He let Embiid have enough time to get healthy, get back into this series, and they've taken full control. And I see what people are saying about, I don't know about lose the locker room. That's pretty strong language. But like I said, there was slumped shoulders, there was quitting, there was not a lot of belief, not a lot of extra effort plays. They continue to have really slow starts to these games, and that tells you they're not the more motivated team. And they came in with all the confidence in the world. They've dominated Philadelphia in previous years in the playoffs. They dominated them all during the regular season. I mean, this was their series to lose, and they're on the brink of losing it.
Talk with Ben Golliver from the Washington Post. You can follow him on Twitter at Ben Golliver. Check out all of his NBA coverage over with the Washington Post. Ben, we mentioned Joel Embiid earlier. I want to hit on him one more time. League MVP. He's talked about multiple times, how much more mature he is now, how much he's grown into this role. And it felt like last night was the first time in the postseason, at least, it felt like that the guy that we saw in the regular season made that kind of impact.
Oh, absolutely. Look, give PJ Tucker a lot of credit for that motivational speech at the end of Game 4, because Joel Embiid was, on the verge of checking out there a little bit. It seemed like he was tired. He wasn't having a lot of success. Al Horford's doing a great job defensively against him. It felt like he might want to let go of the rope a little bit. And instead, PJ Tucker kind of, talks him back into it. Embiid makes a great pass and a great read to James Harden on that game-winning three-pointer to take Game 4. And then, like you mentioned, Game 5 was probably the best game if you consider the stakes of his entire playoff career. I mean, they have an opportunity now to finally reach the Eastern Conference Finals, and he stepped up in a huge way on both ends. I think a lot of people are going to remember that chase down block that he had on Jaylen Brown, but he was in a nice rhythm offensively. And, his scoring has been there really since he came back in this series. He's been able to score the basketball, but it was just a tour de force all-around performance by Joel Embiid, something that, we've been waiting a long time to see him dominate and take over like he did there. But I'll say this too. I heard James Harden got him that Rolex for winning MVP. Joel Embiid owes James Harden at least a Rolex, if not two, for how well he was able to bring those early wins home in the series to kind of put Philadelphia in this position. If James Harden doesn't step up huge and steal that Game 1 win and then nail that game winner in Game 4, it's a totally different story for everybody, including Embiid. And that's how superstar duos are supposed to work, right? Kobe and Shaq, one night it's your night, one night it's my night. And it hasn't always been the cleanest, most perfect duo there in Philadelphia between Harden and Embiid, but they're getting great play from both of those guys at exactly the right moment.
Couple more for Ben Golliver here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Wednesday night. Tonight, we got Heat Knicks. A lot of people are expecting the Heat to finish the Knicks off tonight, and it could potentially be Jimmy Butler versus Joel Embiid in the finals.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals, no question. I mean, clearly former teammates, guys who have met in the playoffs before, met last year in the playoffs. That would be a fascinating matchup. For Miami, it's crazy because they made such quick work of Milwaukee, and now they're doing the exact same thing to New York. They just stick to their principles, right? It's like, let Jimmy be the best player on the court, play really hard-nosed defense, get up in everybody's jersey, and then, hope that you can kind of, take away the other team's best player. And in the first round, Giannis was dealing with some injury issues, and he was not his normal self. In the second round, Julius Randle has just been a complete mess for New York. And that's been a real problem. I think that New York's offense just really has not gotten on track in this series. They're not hitting enough three-pointers. The spacing is not there. Brunson hasn't been as good. It's just been a masterclass from a guy like Eric Spoelstra and the Heat, the supporting cast members who have just kind of stepped up and done just enough to put that Knicks team away. It's hard to get a gauge, though, on Miami in terms of how good are they, right? Is this a team that can make a finals run? Or is this a team that took advantage of a Giannis injury and got kind of a weaker second-round matchup against New York and now is in position to be in the conference finals? I guess we'll have to see. And there's going to be a lot of people who look at the Miami Heat's regular season record, might look at their seeding, might look at the Tyler Hero injury and say, okay, this team is very good and they're tough, but maybe they're not elite. And I guess, assuming that they beat New York and take care of business, perhaps that's what we're going to see in the Eastern Conference Finals is, a little bit of a reckoning for the Miami Heat.
Real quick before I let you go, Lakers, Warriors, Lakers up 3-1. How are we at this point?
Well, Anthony Davis has been the best player in the series. He's been forcing Golden State to adjust to him more than the Lakers have had to adjust to Steph Curry. And that's usually not how it goes. Typically during this Warriors dynasty, it's always been the opponents adjusting to Steph and him being sort of the best player on the court. But Anthony Davis has been sensational defensively, and he's been really good on offense too. And the Lakers have gotten enough just balanced scoring. LeBron's kind of orchestrating everything, and different guys are chipping in at different points. I'm up here in San Francisco today, right before Game 5, and I'll tell you what, there is so much nerves from the fan base, man. And usually this is a pretty cocky and confident fan base over the years because they've won so much, but they're real nervous. I think they're wondering, is Klay Thompson going to be able to step up? Can Draymond Green step up? What the heck happened to Jordan Poole? He's probably had the worst performance based on his contract of anybody in the entire playoffs. He's played that poorly for Golden State. And then you look around and you say, well, who else is going to help Steph? Steph's going to show up and have a big night, but will he have enough help? And I think those are really, solid questions. I think if the Lakers, they kind of have a decision to make. Do they rest up tonight and go for the knockout blow in Game 6? You remember they rested in Game 2 against the Warriors and went home and took care of business. Or do they smell blood and say, let's try to just take this series right now on the road? Let's see if they can do it. I think there's a chance they do it, man. And I'm telling you what, the fan base here is more nervous than I can almost ever remember hearing them.
Check out all of his coverage in the Washington Post. He is Ben Golliver, and he joined us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Ben, I appreciate you wiggling some room for us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Take care, and good luck to your Sixers.
Yeah, we're all hoping for the best over here. Don't forget that Lakers-Warriors game here tonight here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 9:30, and my conversation with Ben Golliver has been brought to you by Jenkins & Sons. One call does it all. No need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, or the plumbing guy. Just call 609-641-6440 from new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, leak repairs, drain cleaning services, whatever you need, just call Jenkins at 609-641-6440 and online at jenkinsandsons.com. Before we hit the break, couple of takeaways from Ben Golliver there. Number one, he mentioned about how, for the Lakers-Warriors series, how well Anthony Davis has played. And I think that the perception of the Lakers in a negative sense is similar to our gross overestimation and our exaggeration of the Celtics in a positive way. It feels like that Anthony Davis, people just assume he's always injured or he's always going to have a problem, or there's the stat that kept being put on TV about how he plays better in odd number games versus even number of games. And it felt like that people, and listen, I'm one of them. Okay. I got to let myself, I assumed that the NBA finals was going to be Warriors and Bucks. Well, the Bucks got knocked out in the first round, and it looks like the Warriors are getting knocked out, if not tonight, by the end of this Lakers series, because as long as Anthony Davis is out there on that floor, it feels like the Warriors don't have an answer for him. And you would think that shouldn't be that shouldn't be the case, because the Warriors historically have been such a good defensive team. And I read a really, really thought-provocative article in The Athletic, and I wish I could remember who wrote it, but the writer wrote in the article that the Warriors invested so many resources into the future, drafting James Wiseman, drafting Jonathan Kuminga, signing Jordan Poole long-term. And all of those players, if they were what we expected them to be, it would be Warriors 3-1, not Lakers 3-1. And I think that I looked at the Warriors-Lakers series and just thought that the Warriors have more firepower than the Lakers. And because of all of us assuming Anthony Davis might get injured, all of us assuming that if LeBron James doesn't have a big game, that the Lakers can't win 4 games in this series, we're finding out that LeBron has morphed his game into being the guy who enables others to be great. And that's just as dangerous as the LeBron that we saw in Miami. So tonight, we don't just need to see if the Lakers finish the series. We need to find out what the Warriors are going to do, because you heard Ben Golliver say that he's up there in San Francisco. He says he's never been around this fan base this nervous during this run. That tells you everything you need to know. The fans see something. They see the end coming. And maybe it's not the literal end of the Warriors. Maybe it's not the literal, hey, they'll never be a championship contender again. But it feels like this is the end of this iteration of the Warriors, because Draymond Green, he's got a player option. He can leave. Klay Thompson, he could leave. There's a lot of speculation that the Warriors are going to unload Jordan Poole. There's speculation that how much longer does Bob Myers want to be the general manager out there for the Golden State Warriors? There's a lot of questions surrounding that team, and the only thing that it seems like that we know for sure is that Steph Curry, Kevon Looney, and Andrew Wiggins are back next year, but that's certainly not enough to win another championship. So we could be seeing the end of an era tonight, And it would be at the hands of LeBron James-led Lakers on a team where LeBron isn't even the lead dog anymore, that it is Anthony Davis, that it is D'Angelo. The D'Angelo Russell side of the Lakers is fascinating to me because it's like a 30 for 30 documentary. What if I told you that the guy who would be drafted by the Lakers would then return and help lead them to a championship? The D'Angelo Russell side of this, I never thought that we would be sitting here talking like we are about him because of two specific reasons. Number one, I remember when he was the second overall pick in 2015 and how ridiculed the Lakers were for that pick because, well, we in the Philadelphia market were hyper-focused on the third overall pick, Okafor. There were a lot of people who looked at the Lakers and said, should you have drafted Russell? Should you have drafted? I mean, Magic Johnson, one of the Lakers, drafted Jahlil Okafor. He didn't want them to draft D'Angelo Russell. And in a draft where, I mean, if we're all being really honest, there's only a couple guys in that entire draft who have worked out. I mean, we all know Karl Anthony Towns, number one overall pick. He's had a good, not great career. Devin Booker was the 13th overall pick. He's had a very good career. But again, he was the 13th overall pick, so you kind of put him in the category of, did we really see this coming? Outside of those two guys, everyone else in that draft has basically been a borderline failure. Porzingis hasn't been healthy. Terry Rozier, he was a 16th overall pick. He's basically a role player. Kelly Oubre, 15th overall pick. He's a role player. Miles Turner, he never really met his potential. Montrezl Harrell, Bobby Portis, Josh Richardson, Norm Powell, all role players. So D'Angelo Russell was like basically, he could have been a really good player. And his first run with the Lakers didn't go so well. That's why he was basically sent away to Brooklyn. And then Brooklyn dumped him on Golden State so Brooklyn could get Kevin Durant. And then the Warriors dumped Russell on Minnesota so they could get Wiggins. So this guy has been kicked out of town not once, not twice, but 3 times. And you thought, well, maybe he'll stay in Minnesota because his best friend is Karl Anthony Towns, and him and Towns have always wanted to play together. So maybe to keep Towns happy, he'll stay there. And then you come to find out that, Minnesota will get rid of him too. And so for him coming back to the Lakers is the strangest homecoming because it's the same Lakers organization that basically kicked him out the door because they didn't want to deal with him anymore. They thought he was a lost cause, basically. And Brooklyn got rid of him because they said, hey, we can get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, have a new super team here. And then the Warriors kicked him out because they basically just had too many point guards at that point, and they wanted Andrew Wiggins. So if D'Angelo Russell is the guy on a Lakers team that wins a championship, this is going to be a documentary one day. It's absolutely insane. So for me, this Warriors-Lakers game is incredibly fascinating, and I'm looking forward to it. Of course, you can hear the coverage right here. 9:30 tonight on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank and CLC. I'm Josh Hennig hanging out with you. We'll get back to your text on the other side. Phillies are down 1-0, bottom of the 9th, 2 men on, no outs. And Kyle Schwarber is at bat. I'll tell you what happens next on 97.3 ESPN.
The Warriors fall once again on the road, dropping games 3 and 4 to the Lakers in Los Angeles. Now they return to San Francisco for a must-win Game 5. Will they survive? Coverage begins tonight at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
I don't think this series is over. I think it's going to take one hell of a knockout punch to knock out the defending champion, especially when they're going back home. So they're still right there. It's still going to be a series.
Listen to the NBA playoffs exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
If car designers can make cars look like anything, why are there so many boring cars? Why not a car that looks like an ancient sword? Or the future? The sky isn't even the limit at Nissan. Why be boring when you can make a katana blade slice through traffic? That's the Nissan Z. Or something from the future whizzing by. And that's the Aria. Nissan. Redesign for thrill. 2023 Aria has limited availability. See dealer for financing details.
Hey, you're not a real customer. Quote based on a healthy, non-smoking 44-year-old male with a 20-year term policy. Rates may vary.
Welcome to Ethos, a new kind of insurance company that believes life insurance should be hassle-free, affordable, and accessible for everyone.
For around $1 a day, I got a 20-year, $250,000 term life insurance policy without a medical exam. All I had to do was answer a few health questions and snap, family protected. It was quick and easy. Ethos is 100% online. I got a quote in seconds, applied in minutes, and got coverage in hours. Just answer a few health questions. No medical exam, no blood tests, no hassle. Look, nobody wants to plan for the unthinkable, but it would be so much worse to not plan at all. So don't put it off. It feels great having the peace of mind knowing that my family is protected.
Ethos, the 100% online hassle-free way to get affordable life insurance. Don't wait. Get your free online quote now at ethoslife.com. That's ethoslife.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Valvoline Advanced can help your engine get more miles. Right now, buy a 5-quart jug and get a free STP Extended Life Oil Filter. That's right, free. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need, when you need them, at AutoZone or AutoZone.com. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stopped, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
Carrie, is this schedule the most updated?
There's a wedding season rush at Dr. Iona's dental practice.
We're fully booked this week. We can try and squeeze you in next Tuesday.
She needs a dental hygienist to unveil fresh smiles.
How long has 3 been under the UV light?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies
studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321321. That's ROCK to 321321.
Time to tee it up at the 40th Annual Ranch Hope Wranglers Golf Tournament, Friday, June 2nd at Centerton Golf Club, presented by Woodruff Energy. Proceeds will benefit Ranch Hope's youth activities. Ranch Hope is entering its 59th year serving the youth and families of New Jersey. Their tournament is made possible by Comtech Systems, PSEG Nuclear, Mannington Flooring, Atlantic City Electric, First National Bank of Elmer, SJ Water Conditioning, Heritage Foundation, and Pennsville Bank. Let's tee it up for Ranch Hope. Sponsor and player registrations at ranchhope.org.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Well, Kyle Schwarber didn't get the job done. But JT Realmuto did. Phillies are tied 1-1, bases loaded. In the bottom of the ninth, JT Realmuto got the RBI. And right now, the Blue Jays closer is in danger of walking in the winning run in this game. I mean, this is not looking good for the Blue Jays. I'm just telling you right now. I mean, this is supposed to be your guy you go to in the bullpen, and he is struggling to put Edmundo Sosa away. Man, Schwarber didn't get the job done. But you know who did? JT Realmuto. Or as Dan from EHT likes to say, Mr. BCIB. That's catcher in baseball. That board is open as always at 609-403-0973. Your DMs in 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank Seattle. Well, the Blue Jays survived the bases loaded. We're going to go to extra innings now. Phillies and Blue Jays tied 1-1 as they head to the 10th. Thanks again to Ben Golliver for joining us on the show. A lot of great stuff from him. I wanted to highlight one of the other things that he said about the Sixers Celtics series, and that is he brought up the idea that for this Sixers Celtics series, that Joel Embiid didn't just play well last night. He arguably played the best game ever in the postseason. And you have to think that for the Sixers, he said, Harden and Embiid, they're kind of like this imperfect tandem. They're not a perfectly blended, 1-2 punch on a team. But they bring something to the table that it just can't be denied. And Tim Legler talked about this earlier today on SportsCenter about how good Embiid and the Sixers were last night. And when Ben Golliver said what he said about Embiid and Harden, it made me think of this.
We can talk about defensive Joel Embiid, but when you visually see a guy sprint and make up that kind of ground on a player as athletic and fast as Jaylen Brown in the open floor, what the message that sends to your team? And the level of intensity, they're just putting it all on the line, leaving skin on the floor, you're hitting the ground, slamming into the basket support to prevent one layup. And the thing that amazed me the most about this game stage was the fact that Boston never made a threatening run in the game. A team as good as Boston at home in a huge moment never challenged. That's how good Philadelphia was last night. That's how good their best player was.
It's that Harden is willing to say, Joel, you're the best player. Tonight is your night. I see you rolling. I see you doing what you do, and I'm going to let you do it. I'm not going to sit here and try to take the shine away. I'm not here to try to make it all about me. And you can only take Harden at his word when he says, I just want to win. And I believe that last night was a perfect example of it. He said, how good the Sixers defense played. Harden was a part of that. Harden did a very good job at basically being a useful defender. One of the problems with Harden years ago during his time in Houston was he was not a willing defender. He was a very poor defender. He was a guy that you couldn't trust in a big game, not as much because of his offense, but because of his defense. He didn't have the prerequisite desire and want to help you win a game. And I thought last night, Harden only scored 17 points. But going 4 for 8 shooting, which is 50%, getting 10 assists versus only 2 turnovers, and then snagging those 2 steals. I mean, getting the 2 steals basically eliminates the 2 turnovers if you're really, being analytical about it. You could argue that Harden had the cleanest game he's had of the postseason. And yeah, he didn't score a ton of points, but Harden said, hey, Joel's MVP guy tonight. He's back. Maxey, he's hitting a bunch of threes. I'm going to get it to them. I'm going to put them in position to be successful. And when you break it down, Embiid and Maxey combined to make 9 threes. Maxey had 6, Embiid had 3, Harden had 1. So those 3 guys gave you 10 3-pointers last night. The Celtics starters, Tatum, Horford, Smart, White, and Brown, combined for 8 threes. So their 5 got less threes up than the Sixers starting 5. As I told you guys before, sometimes it's just as simple as, can you not turn the ball over? Can you make your 3-pointers? Sometimes it really is just that simple. Now, look, Embiid in the turnover, it's still a problem. It's still frustrating to me. That's why I focus more on Harden. Harden is something I can control more because Harden and Maxey are the 2 primary ball handlers. They combined for 3 turnovers last night. Meanwhile, for Boston's got a huge problem right now. And I don't know if it's necessarily Missoula, but I do think there is something to be said for the fact that the Celtics just don't seem to have a consistent 1-2. There seems to be a disconnect. And maybe Joe Mazzulla isn't the right coach for this team. Maybe he is a good coach in the NBA, but maybe he's not necessarily the coach for this roster. Maybe that coach was Ime Udoka, and with Udoka gone, they're just not the same. So I'm willing to concede that. I'm willing to, put that out there. I don't think that, Boston had 57 wins this year. Philadelphia had 54. I'm not going to act like Philadelphia is so much better or worse than Boston because of the coaching situation, because I would be a hypocrite if I said that. But I do think that when you look at the Sixers, I think that there's a lot of people who assume that the Sixers are just not as good as Boston. And I don't think Boston is playing like a team that's better. I think Boston is playing like a team who went into this series with the expectation of winning and not with the actual mental ability to win. And as Doc Rivers said, they can't get comfortable being up 3-2. I think it's a huge part of this series moving forward. Because the Sixers need to finish this off tomorrow night. When Tom McGinnis comes on the radio tomorrow night here on 97.3 ESPN at 7:30, you want to hear the Sixers come out with the same level of effort that they had tonight. I don't think that's too much to ask, but we'll see. I think that the team that has the best effort tomorrow night is probably going to win it. And I know that the Celtics are, at some of the books, a pretty solid betting favorite right now. I'm starting to get the feeling that when it comes to basketball, the odds makers are just trying to steal people's money. They're just trying to manipulate people to bet, because it feels like when it comes to basketball, some of these numbers and odds that are being put out there are really questionable. Hey, look at tonight. Why are the Miami Heat a 3.5-point dog? Do you really believe the Miami Heat are 3.5 points less than the Knicks and they're up 3-1 in the series? Do you really think that the Lakers are 8 points worse than the Warriors and they're up 3-1 in the series? So if that's the case, why on earth would I take Celtics 2-point favorites seriously at all? I don't. At all. I don't. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. Take care of you folks, South folks. Be safe out there. Catch you tomorrow.
It's Sixers Celtics. Game 6 tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Brown goes up. Embiid blocked it. Maxey saves it. Joel with an incredible defensive play. Oh, man.
It's Sixers playoff basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN. Your play-by-play home for Sixers playoff basketball. Coverage begins at 7 p.m.